create objects and to move, rotate and scale them. Just a quick introduction. So when you open Blender, you have here, we have a little cube. You can click the cube here and grab, if you see that middle there, that point in the middle is our pivot point. So that means anything we do with this cube is going to be based on the pivot point. If I rotate around the pivot point and so on. So in Blender you have 3 keys for move, rotation, scale. Is G for translate, for moving the object, so I can move. I just drag in the middle there and I'm moving. Right? You can see on the right hand side here that this is the location in the world space that I'm moving. It's very important to know where you are because you can easily get lost. You don't, if I put this cube there, I don't really know where it is in space. I can, yeah. So let's just Control Z here. So the other way you can do, if you're not seeing this gizmo here, I have installed the lazy viewport add-on. Here in Blender there is another video of how to install the lazy viewport. Also, the other option you have is you can add those gizmos. This is called Gizmo, where you can see the 3 axes. So before I get in there, let's talk about this. So I click my cube. So you see this is our object in the world. So the Z, so the red handle is the x-axis, right? And then the y is the green, and the Z is going upwards. Mind you, if you're coming from different softwares, and here in the UK we tend to use the y-axis going up and the Z going you know, down where this one is. So we had the reverse type of handle. So just be aware of that. I mean, you can change the settings depending on your workflow. We're going to keep this setting now because that's how it comes with Blender. Most of the other YouTube videos are with the Z-axis upwards. Yeah, but just be aware of that because sometimes you export objects and bring to a different software like Unity, Unreal Engine or any other, and then the object will come in a different direction. That will probably have to do with having the axis set up, yeah, in the wrong, well, differently. They are not right or wrong. It's the way you work. So make sure that it's consistent. So if you are working in a workflow that has the y-axis going up, then and the z-axis going inwards, or in depth, I would say, then you have to set up that in the same way for both softwares to make your life easier, right? Right. Okay. So in terms of the gizmo, so this is called Gizmo. If you don't see this, there's this button here, yeah. So that little arrow, you might have this turned off, so you won't be able to see the gizmo. You can still move the object. So press G. You can actually, no. So you have to turn on. Yeah. Now I'm rotating because I press R, G, and Z for scale. So if you grab the object, let's go back here. If you grab the object, yeah, so I'm grabbing the object here and I'm moving around. So I can use hotkeys, like if I press X now, I'm still holding it, I didn't let go, so keep pressing down. I press X, that means I only move my cube in X-axis. If I press Y now, don't let it go, I'm moving in Y-axis, and if I press Z, Z-axis. So okay, now if you want to be precise, you can use numbers as well. The other way to get the same numbers here, if you press N or this little arrow here, which the shortcut is N for November, you also be able to see here. So this is cube. This cube now is in 0, 0 and 1.8 meters in Z. Okay. There's no rotation, and the scale is 1 by 1 by 1. Okay. Right, let's just zoom out a little bit. Okay, so if you want to always see this gizmo, you have the other option as well. I mean, I have my, I like working with the handles, yeah, with my gizmo. And this is very important. If you come from different softwares, you're used to this, and I do like it. Some people find it faster to just use the hotkeys, but I really like to just, you know, you just press on top, click on top, hold it, and then move. Yeah, it's the same thing. Okay, so you can also turn on here if you don't have that. If you turn that on, those gizmos here, yeah, it has the same effect. So G for move, R for rotation, S for scale. Yeah, so if you go in the middle, so if you're going to scale, and if every time you press scale, you have this round white circle here, and then if you press on top of it, that means you're going to scale proportionally. Okay, and X, Y, and Z. So you see here, everything's got the same proportion. Okay, if you press any of the axis little square here, so let's say the red, you think that's going to scale in red, but in fact no, it doesn't. It is scaling in the Z and Y, but not X. Okay, so let's do that with the Y. So if I press the white, the green, sorry, if I press the green scale here, it's scaling in X and Z, but not in Y, and so on. And let's try the Z one. Yeah. The other thing you need to be aware of, this is our world rotation and scaling, so is relative to the world. Okay, so let's just rotate this object for a while now. So rotation, I can come here and rotate in the middle, so it can be free, or I can press X and Y, and it's not working for some reason, and Z, don't know why. It should work. I think it might get a little bit confused. So let me just turn this off for me, because I have the lazy viewport. So let's have a look at that. So you have to select first on the top of any of the axes, and then you can change. So this is X now, this is Y, so I'm just rotating in Y and Z. Okay, have a go at this. Okay, so let's say I am going to rotate my object like that. Okay, so I rotate, so I have this object in a position, and if we have a look, press G, let's have a look at those axes. The gizmo here is based on the world space, right? So if I want to move, let's say if I want to scale, let's press S for scale, and I want to scale in Z, for example. Let's have a look at what happened. It's not really what we want. It's actually scaling in all directions, because it's scaling in relation to the world space, so which is called the global space. Yeah, so the object is rotated, but if you want to scale it, the scaling is in relation to the world. We don't want that. We want it in relation to the object. So you come out, you have two options here. You have to put as a local. And have a look when I put local. Here you go. It's showing me what are the axes in relation to the object itself. So I've rotated this axis, and this is my x-axis here for this object. So now if I want to do it Z1, now I can just press rotate, scalar in Z. Okay, so there you go, in Y, X, and then Y. Yeah, so you can go back here to global, and then you wouldn't be doing that unless you want to, but you know, it's just for you to understand. When you are applying transformations, you need to know if you're applying transformation in relation to the object on its own, or the world itself. And we can do these other things. You can even rotate objects based on another object, which we'll see later on in other videos. Okay, so so this is it for the transform tools. So let me just delete this guy here, and I'm going to add a new mesh cube. Okay, so adding meshes. So you can press Shift A. Shift A, you can see, you have all many different things you can add here, but we're going to be focused on the mesh, the different types of mesh that gives you. And you can also find it here, right? So this is my cube. I'm going to move over there. I come here and I add a circle. This is just a circle. See, there's no 3D here. It's one circle. UV sphere. Let's have a look at the 3D objects first. So that's our sphere. And then we have the icosphere. We'll be looking at the differences later on in another video. And we have cylinders. And again, with any object, you can rotate, scale the same way as we did with the cube. We have a cone. And let's see what else. We have a torus. Yeah. The other thing you can do when you are creating objects is that every time you create something or you want to apply some kind of transformation, something comes up here, move, right? So because move was when I press G to move this object, so I can actually enter the number here as well, right? So let's say 1 meter. Yeah, I moved that to 1 meter. So let's put it again, mesh. If I add a torus, let's say, before I press anything else, and I just add it, you can access these tools, and I can decide here the resolution of this. So let's say, hold on a minute, let me just delete this guy, and delete this one now. Let me just go there, add a torus. So major segments for 49. So this is giving me the amount of circles it has around. Yeah, so it's telling me the resolution. So we've got 4, 3, and the more resolution it gets rounder. So, and then the segments is how many segments you want this torus to be. So if you want a shape like that, so you can have a lot of control with creating different shapes by using this. So you can create from here. Also here you can decide about the hole in the middle here. So you can make it wider, narrower, yeah, and so, and the radius. Let's see, you know, very quickly without doing anything, just by using this menu, I could create something completely different. So I move this across, and with the same, in the same way, I can create a different torus, but you remember the last setting I did, so I can change that now, and I create something completely different. We're going to be looking at resolution as well, but for now, this is all we need. Yeah, I want some kind of ring. Don't want to put too many facets. There you go. Okay, go. An hexagram from the same shape. Okay, so you can do that with any object. Okay, so I'll let you to try this and move, create some objects, move them, scale them. Remember the scale, if you use the white board, the white circle here, you do it proportionally. Okay, let me show you something else. I'm going to create, I'm using this cone here, and I'm going to add another sphere. Press G to move, or put the sphere. I want to put the sphere on the top of this. Too big now, so I want to make it smaller. There you go, and G to put it down. Okay, I can put those two objects together and create a little hat. You know, we'll be learning how to edit these objects. Now we're only working with primitive objects. So let's say this is my pivot point of the sphere, and this is my pivot point. Let's say I want those two objects to be together, so I can move both together. So I can press one, press the first one, press the second one, and I can click with the right mouse button and say join, which is the shortcut is, well, I'm using a Mac, Command J, and yours is Control J if you're using a PC, right? And the one thing I need to know that this is the axis, the pivot point. So if I do anything now, let's say let's rotate this object, and it's rotating around that pivot point. Okay, just one thing for you to know. Let's just undo all this. So I have them separate again. If I select this one first, before I select the sphere first and then the cone. Now let's press the cone and the sphere, and then I go and say join. Now they are both the same object now, and this is the pivot point. So if anything I do now is going to go around that point. Okay, so just for you to be aware of this. There's many ways we can change this. We'll see that when we start editing objects, but I want you to know that. Yeah, so okay, so this is all for this video now, and I see you in the next video. Yeah.